arguing about foremen that we have.
Yeah, no point.
Okay.
All right,
Great.
welcome again, everybody, for the March 13th Clarke County Community Council meeting. We're here in the landscape Lexington Road. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming today. We got our new Mateo, he's the new community forester. Would you like to introduce yourself and basic or
Yeah, my name is Mateo. I graduated from the University of Georgia. Arborist. Was climbing trees since I was 15, so decided to be a speaker for the trees and not just a squirrel. So
excited to have you? Well, has everyone had a chance to sign the?
It's right there.
We want to welcome. And I guess Pam is not here, but has ever looked over a treasure report? It looked like we got donations to fill this past month, but that was their treasure. We got a light meeting, but while we're here, we kind of go over some things. Okay, so we're going to start looking for some people for the new members. I know myself, this will be my last year on 3 people, so I know we'll need to myself. There's 4 other memberships I think that are expiring this year, so we need to see if they're going to be able to renew theirs or if we need to get a couple other members. I think that's something we should get started earlier with if we can get everything teed up from January of next year. I guess I missed it, but I wanted to do a recap for I think most of us, Phil and I were at, did anybody else make it to the arborist event at Creature, not Creature Conference, it was really good. We had a good turnout. There was about 5 people, 6 people, about 5 or 6. We had a good turnout, and then I think Stacy Smith said that there was about 22 trees that were given away. And we had a lot of people were enthusiastic. We didn't get a donation, but that's okay. And yeah, it was just a good event. We all had a good time.
So there was a fair amount of just walk up people that were asking about tree information. Got some and decided whether they could or couldn't have a place for a tree. Even the ones, some people showed up and we didn't give trees to, but they still got information. And so that was fun.
any advertising or anything?
We did. Well, we had just a listing on our Facebook or Instagram.
Athens, it posted it on there.
So yeah, so we were kind of slow getting it all together. Like we didn't have a whole lot of advanced planning for us to really advertise it well. But yeah, there was. I mean, we had it seemed like, I don't know if a lot of people came specifically for the event or more drop-ins. But it seemed like a lot of people, we talked with a lot of people.
So Sean was there and some of his buddies came. Derek was there.
Yeah, I think, we definitely caught some people, but we did have a couple people saying we saw it or heard about it.
We did have some people that saw it and they came into that.
Did you guys do well? I think
They probably did post it.
Yeah, because I think we were the only official that were scheduled for that.
It's kind of first for us. We have in the past usually had something during the day or in the afternoon. We had reading of the proclamation. So this was a diversion. It should have gotten the information out sooner, but there was a change in venues. There was a whole lot going on. It's a good start.
think so. I guess we still have to read part of the City USA. I guess is on the, do we have to read the charter on the official Arbor Day, National Arbor Day, or is it
The proclamation,
the proclamation?
it has to be read. Oh,
I thought it,
I know there has to be.
it has to be one, okay.
I know there has to be one. I don't know if it has to be
Okay.
read. Do you know? It has to be read.
I don't, we always did that in Winterville,
Yeah.
but.
And then the last time we did it, or last year, yeah, we had the.
We did that to
commissioner- Our
Sean.
commissioner representative did it, so.
It's not too.
Yeah.
I thought that was part
I
of,
get my, hey guys,
yeah, I thought that was part of our, like, city.
yeah, and I get myself mixed up, so Rodney read it out at, the Larry Morris planting site, was that last year?
That was last year.
Okay,
The year
so Rodney
before
read it
was
last year.
The Greenway.
Well, yeah, so Rodney, so, but was that George Arbor Day or National Arbor Day?
Yeah, I'm guessing it was
That's-
probably
Right, yeah. Well, I guess we'll have to
February.
figure out, we'll get,
It's ACC Arbor Day.
so who does the proclamation? Does that come from the mayor and commission? I mean, the last year it was from the mayor Dirks, but then he didn't write it up.
No, it's a standard, it's a boilerplate. The proclamation for the Tree City is a boilerplate that exists, right?
One of
Same
the,
thing every year.
and I probably in the last few years was a prompt from Rodney to whoever.
Tree City USA.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
We need to, I guess, give us, we'll probably set about that.
Final, whatever.
I think we could ask Mateo to reach out to that committee, if we can find out our course of procedure for reading Arbor Day, Tree City USA.
I wonder if it would be Seth or Lee at this point.
It might be Lee, because whoever is in that position for ours.
Well, here was, now we
And
got
Lee will know even if it's.
we got four, now I want to officially, hold a motion to start the official meeting. I guess, what, any motion? Got a second? All right, well, let's get started. All right, okay, we went over a couple brief things before we got started. I think we talked about Pam's budget, the treasurer's report, and it looked like we had a donation from Bill, thank you, but was there any?
It's supposed to be another.
Say which Phil. It said it was a Phil.
Got yourself.
How did you spell?
And for those of
I
y'all,
put that on there to guilt people into donating. That was on my list of things to do anyway.
To kill people?
Donate, yeah.
It's like you make money, hopefully they'll-
No, that's all part of the cost of doing business.
and then for those of you who just came in, we do have a new forester here today.
Yay! What's your name?
My name is Mateo.
You new to Athens?
No, I've been in Athens for quite some time. I live in Winterville right now. School here. Very excited to be back. Came back right before COVID. It just got weird. So, I moved from Athens to Anchorage, Alaska, to Asheville, North Carolina, and then Athens. So I really like A's.
So then we talked briefly about, I don't know, I don't have the list, but we are gonna need at least two, for the new member interview work group. I'm moving, so this will be my last year on the tree council, so I know at least myself will need to be replaced. I believe there's 5 people this year, that are terms are up, so we need to figure out, who, if they want to stay or if we need to start looking for more people. Try to get started on that as soon as we. I know we had a great, Wes McCall was here a couple of times. She showed a lot of interest. She was, I think she had to student course. Claire, yeah, she seemed like really interested. You know, Claire, yeah, she seemed like she was, really into the planting twice, and, she said she doesn't know about schedule, though she'll still be. And then, have, landmark trees, we want to get that started. I'm just kind of seeing through some things now and kind of talk. It looks like, we got a lot. One action items we have now is we need to plan who we're giving the Green Life Awards to. I think I need to let, Stacy know by really as soon as possible, I think. I know something I told her we decided last meeting that we were gonna give 2 Green Life Awards out, one to a business and one to an individual. And I forget the individual, but Mary, didn't you have an individual already decided that we're gonna? Or was it Lauren or?
Yeah, Lauren, saying. Yeah, for
Uh-huh.
individual.
Well, I guess we can always have a new individual. But, so I just wondered, for the. We did love the champion tree.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
That's
great.
Yeah.
That's right.
But you said that you had someone that had a champion.
Yes.
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 That you would not. So nominate, and I mean, we can combine them, I guess. We can nominate someone for.
It's a tree steward award.
Yes, have a championship tree and then give them the
Award.
award.
Yeah.
So you're a person that has a champion.
Laura Hall,
Oh, yeah, Laura.
family owns the
And
Peace Preserve.
And she's gonna check to see, to make sure that it's on her property.
She did. I think she's pretty confident.
So, so the next thing we need to go out.
She
and
would be a
measure it,
good-
make sure that it's-
Because of all the work she's doing out there at the Peace Preserve.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
Not to
Yeah.
mention that
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
over the
she's,
years,
yeah,
she's perfect.
she's an excellent steward
Yeah.
for over the years. Okay, so
Oh,
I would nominate Laura Hall for sure, and then check to make sure, and then dovetail that with.
Okay.
I'd like to add something to that as far as like that large poster that's on Station Road going out.
Yes.
That, and they, it was protected when they
Widening road.
I want to say Public Works takes credit for it. So
I just-
we had a conversation last night.
They were pretty proud of
Yeah, they
themselves.
were very proud of themselves for taking that trade. I think
And I also have to recognize them,
Okay.
and it's like, you could do things to that tree that.
Yeah, and that was, and the whole name, that tree is an important part of that East Athens neighborhood. Because when they were, change the roadway, not just, they talked with that family about the poster. Said you can do this if you say tree. So
Yeah. Public Works, I was talking about the tree.
It's like Friday's conversation where it's turning to the left to go to the road and to the right.
Yeah, like I said, we-
And so they had to do a
It's
lot
also
of
across the street.
remediation to make sure that the root structure
All
was
the
preserved as best they could. And, I thought Rodney helped me with that. Yeah, I was pretty sure that they were guided by Rodney, but I don't remember.
think that's that.
Yeah.
Project.
We don't have masks on.
Well,
It's strange how that is.
So, yes, we have,
I'm sorry, I was thinking about businesses. I admit, I have a little bit of sympathy in my heart for $500,000 outfitters for the REI coming. And I love REI, I'm super excited about REI, but they did kind of an amazing thing with that lot. Taking that. It's been a long
It's H12 and it's in.
They're still low.
And it's
Oh,
still-
they do.
time. They do have good natives, they
Yeah.
have non-natives too, shrubbery, but
This is the spot they were branch.
yeah. And it was a really polluted. But I really was thinking about it earlier. Businesses around, helping people out.
We got a lot of, we got a lot of people who do over portion there. We've got a lot of fun. Spend a lot of time on the trees, do a lot of help us provide resources for the planting. Educational.
I was gonna mention, I just heard back from Lee. She said, Lee Clark, the GMC, she said that the proclamation, it doesn't have to be read, but it has to be signed. It's not read.
Okay, so we're good. Okay, so. So I guess, now it's March, I did put the calendar, the green life is actually, it's like the 15th or 16th of April, so. We'll either need to have, a vote now on this, or potentially, we can't really make any action over a phone call or anything, or
We'd have to
email,
call
executive meeting,
and our next, you said the awards are April 15th?
I think so, yeah, I should have wrote all that.
That's a Saturday.
That's
Saturday,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I was just,
So
yeah, so
our
it's all-
next meeting is Monday, April 10th.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's gonna be
Yeah.
enough time.
Because I'll be coordinating Jimmy.
Oh, yes, yes. And,
What will
the
need to
last
be done?
two
We have
years,
this
so-
regulatory
have a
thing.
small team
We
that's been
need
going
to,
out, finding them and.
So deadlines will be essentially award apps in March, and then paying for the voluntary, so we really need to have, if you can, most of them have the deadline of March 3rd for our awards, and so, yeah, so we really need, yeah, we really need to talk about, yeah. Yeah, that's one, so,
Yes.
We can go ahead and get nominations for.
Okay.
yeah.
Get that.
All right, yeah, so we have, two nominations for the individual, would anybody have an individual they'd like to nominate for the Tree Life
Who was
Award?
the Laura Hall and who was the other?
And,
Whoever the, like the owner.
the owner of that post that is,
Say,
I hate that.
I'm gonna say in favor of Long Hall. Lauren has talked with her about it. I'm happy to pursue the College Avenue. Let's go.
Yeah, Lori just mentioned it to me. That people reserve for, because they do a lot of camps, and they're doing a lot of interesting community stuff out there. But so she just kind of,
would she be, does they do that for either her family or their business? Would she be a business, the Piedmont Preserve? Does that mean to do a lot of tree education classes? I mean, is that a business?
they've set it up as a camp right now, and
Yeah,
then
it
kind of.
also serves as Clark Central's course. They host cross country. So they're, yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah,
It's so awesome.
they had
Yeah.
some big plans for it, I think, years and years ago.
Is it in stars?
She has it, so it wouldn't, a good chunk of it's under an easement.
Well, she also co-owns it with Rachel Hawk.
Okay, okay.
With their, this is something that's gonna come up year after year. It's not the college station thing. It's not something that just happens, so I mean, tree doesn't die. We defer that to
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's all good. I think
Well,
it's people, I've got the list of the, I think it's showing off for 2023. Hang on. Okay, so
Okay,
we know
we'll
towards
do.
progress.
Well,
She's on.
No, it's,
She's trained the R liaison for the bus stop.
Okay, sweet rock designer.
Yeah, she does,
Lived here forever.
Okay,
what, she does Girls on the Run, she does, she
Serious
does a community, she does a community, track.
Serious.
it's not like, you don't know,
No, I just,
Okay.
love that tree.
She's freaking out.
Hopefully they're looking at trees.
Yeah.
Street mapping.
Well, we
Oh,
did
that's
on
a
the
smile.
name day.
Okay.
Yeah. keep on going.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to.
Oh, no, oh, wait.
Are you on street
Are
views?
you north or, it's on, it's on the, oh, yeah, I get, it's funny, no, it's, yeah, you were, I think I said, yeah. I was thinking it's on the north other side of the road, but it's on, that's the one, yeah. So is that actually in the road or in the right of way?
Is it our?
I have.
Let's see if there, click on this board, it'll show you there. So, click on the report button right there, it'll show if they have the, tax assessment, like, exemption, exemption, technician notice. What's have their mailing address on there? College Station. Yeah, so it's 1054, so that's a real house actually. That's their location, 1054. That's their 1037, so that's not thing, so it sounds like, here's what,
Yeah,
it must be like the next
yeah.
door property, it's lots across the street. It's
But,
awesome. That's interesting, though, that'd be even better.
We tried to knock
Or
out.
which best to
The ones that are very.
Yeah, they must live across, because that's a 7, so it's not like it's a 4, so it's even, so it must be like right across the street or something.
I did a bunch of.
Well, I think,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we would try to get it for next year, maybe, 'cause I think it's.
Okay.
really- So, yeah, so let's,
I was gonna suggest you do that. Video, but she said she.
So if it makes, I got a motion that, for our Green Life Awards, maybe let's, nominate for individual this year, we could do, the Hall, and then we can be looking at the other award for next year, because it might be kind of hard to, it looks like it's actually on a rental property, and the actual owner lives across the street somewhere, so probably harder to track them down.
Laura could let us know.
Yeah, but Laura has that.
Yes.
Yeah,
She's done so many
yeah.
great things. Or, yeah, I can, and you can find them. Yeah, but, really, when we talked to them, they thought that's what we wanted. So.
Anybody have any other ideas for business? It could be a church or a high school.
Yeah, do you?
Oil landscape.
Yeah, they donated the bulk checks, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sounds good.
The hall is.
But that's Hall is not the same Hall.
That's his first name. It's his first name.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I think that sounds good.
Yeah, they're gonna put it some trees for finishing up. That was mine,
Yeah.
was thinking was, Royal Landscaping, because they,
You want yourself to-
I think you guys are, yeah, touched by that.
they have, for me, and what, try hard to really promote like, not an undisturbed landscape, but really healthy trees.
Patrick, you want to deal with this as a combined motion or?
Yes, sounds like a good one. I'll do a combined motion that will, nominate Laura Hall for the individuals for her, what's the forest? Piedmont Interim Champion Tree.
And let's include just being a lifelong
Okay.
history of being a tree student.
Then for always providing a being a great, resource for the tree council and for other community stuff, for a business, you know, I'd make the motion to nominate the topo for the. On
That's
there,
it.
all in favor? So, I will let, Stacy Smith know and Stacy Farrell know about our choices. It would be the best to contact Alar Hall and Hall to notify them. You work with the topo, their next.
Yeah.
that's
That's
across the
from the parking lot.
Now, do we let them know, or does Stacy notify?
I think Stacy.
Oh,
notified
Stacy.
us, Yeah.
Okay, with Stacy, okay, Stacy
Oh,
notifies
we can
them.
just ask Stacy.
Okay, so, if somebody could email me their contact information, so I can forward it to Stacy, I'll let Stacy know that too, and then we'll need to have a check too, and I'll coordinate with you, okay?
She always lets me know.
She'll send you it, okay, okay,
You can remind her,
okay.
or you
So,
can forward it to me.
I'll forward Stacy Smith, our, that was good to do that.
So
Topo's different.
Oh,
Topo's a mulch yard.
uh-huh.
and that's different than.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So okay. So I'm sorry. Did we already
We need to-
nominate?
we need
Do we need to redo our vote?
Yeah.
I know we're all kind of
Okay.
deer in headlights.
Oh, no. We strike that.
Strike
We'll
anything
strike,
you
we'll
want.
strike it. We'll strike it. All right. Let's see. All right. All right. Well, let's do this again.
I thought maybe.
That's not
Yeah,
good
me
too.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like they're actually both.
They're both.
That's right.
That's
They're surrounded by stewards.
Next year.
I know. Yeah. So, so Topo gives us the mulch, but Royal does it, but they help us out with equipment stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, that's good. So I'm keeping them both in the award, isn't it? All right. For all in, let's say we'll do it official. I motion that we award the group tree steward award, the company tree award to Royal Landscaping, Royal Landscape Design, and the individual for lifelong to Laura Hall with the people. Seconds, all in favor?
So that was Royal Landscape?
Royal
Royal
Landscape.
landscape design.
Last name is.
Roberts.
And I would like to. Zen. Yeah. Just for the change of
The
tree.
wording and what.
Yeah, what attributes.
Tell you.
this person becoming.
I think if we had wording between now and I guess we
We
could,
have some.
we could vote on it. We could all, if we want to go over it our next. Because I think that would be good. So yeah,
Where is the, where are the?
it's actually at the Campbell Gardens this year. I'm gonna actually pull that. I'm sorry, I should have the top of this. So the green line. Okay. It is April 20th. Yes, that's a Saturday. Y'all start. I think
April
it's
20th,
the 15th
15th
earlier.
is
Yeah.
Okay, so it's the 20th, April 20th. And it'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. at State Campbell Gardens.
It's a.
Is that the 20th?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mhm.
6 to 8.
6 to 8 p.m. Says we'll be talking payment for award, let us know issue. Full. So sounds good. So I'll let Stacy Smith know that of our two awards, and I guess it was like last year. Has anybody from here can go to the Green Life Awards, or is it we can only have like two of us, or does, yeah, I think it was open. I think it was everyone. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I'll be coming back and come back. So we got the Green Life Awards taken care of. That was a big thing, I guess the most pressing order of business for next month. We can start back over for the new, let's start back over on the work groups. The new member, Sean, you said you're not the leader of that anymore. We have you down here as the leader. That, okay. Well, we would love you to be the leader. Okay. So,
I agreed to help with interviews last time. I agreed to help with interviews. I will be this next year. But we'll be interviewed this year, right? Switching just a little bit.
I'd be glad to.
just look at the list now.
I could be on the
That's
Tuesday.
So we got, the rolling off or to be renewed is Ernie Cox and okay, we'll go back. We'll read through first. Ernie Cox, Tori Goff, Jesse McClellan, myself, and Joseph. Would you like to come back on next year? So
Can y'all speak for Jesse, or is that not?
Jesse's on too.
I felt like that could say.
and I don't know, I'll bring it up. I'm not gonna be on here next year, so I don't want to, but I'll bring it up. Both Ernie Cox and Tori Goff might have been to the 3 meetings since they joined. So, do we want to inquire about them coming back on, or do we want to replace those two?
I think we should
We can inquire, but we should remind them that
Yeah,
they're
but
really
it
supposed to be at
Right.
most meetings.
There's
I mean, technically, we have a vote right now of,
could, yes,
Oh,
because
consider
they're
that.
not, by laws, they are not to miss more than 2 unexcused meetings per calendar.
Should remind them gently that, hey, in the bylaws.
We-
such and
We'd
such.
love to have,
I-
but if you can't make it, it's other commitments.
and I'm leaving, so I'm not gonna, I'll just guess from my thoughts is sometimes they're having trouble getting a quorum. If they're not bothering to let us, well, Tori's actually good up town. She's really busy, but every Monday she's busy with court cases. Ernie, I haven't heard from him this whole year, so hurting us by trying, so it's, I don't know, but yeah, we can inquire with them, I guess.
Or, like, we take it. Choose that. Still, they were not.
And that's something we can talk about, yeah,
No.
back on the, so I guess we'll look at that. We guess at least need to replace one person. Happy to help out on the interview.
Is there, maybe I missed this. She's still.
It doesn't expire. These are just the terms that are expiring at the end of this year.
So
So,
we can-
yeah, Sarah Beth is still on the
Is
list.
she, is it-
Yeah.
Send out
So it makes it tougher to get more when there's like 30% of people aren't coming at any meeting to get to.
And we also, have to do and to have, so I'm gonna reach out to the arborist and, rotation to come. I haven't been there.
We are actually having next Monday. Today's Monday.
Oh,
So be nice. But we are having a staff meet and greet between our new arborist and our new forester next week. Since we won't plan so much for that.
So we'll follow up with those other members. Back to that. The trees for tomorrow work group. Any thanks for last one?
I don't have any, we haven't met. Just know that. Just plan.
Actually, after. We did it that following Monday.
Okay. So that was taken care of. I would like to confirm, see how we are. He is leader, very.
Yeah.
Supposed to have more. I think that's always. Yes, we're good.
And I don't know if this comes under trees for tomorrow, or this comes under health, but we had talked about doing, like a mulching at the, school, maybe on Arbor Day. I think Marina, maybe it was Jesse talking to Marina Brian on that, somebody was.
Stacy, so we talked a lot about that in the education committee. Stacy was gonna,
Okay, Stacy. Yeah.
but I'm not sure what's happened since then.
Okay.
This is a conversation.
Yes. All of the growth.
Oh, good question. Is Carl Jordan still alive?
Yes.
Comes to visits,
Very cool. Getting the road while he's still alive.
It's been a long. Budgeting for that and whether language, still.
2007. I sent you all that.
So then there's-
Yes, it was,
Did you have a
yeah.
chance to-
No, I read through everything. It was a really good, so, yeah, it's really good. Sorry. I
Reality
had a whole thing to do, yeah.
Expensive,
I saw
so
you. Yeah, I saw you
the
take what's
idea
called. I
of
was like, oh,
trees
there's
being
a.
that growth is fast.
No, that was, so it really, it's really clear. So it was just great.
Well, we know. Maybe we're closer than we think, but our guess is we won't be able to make the full.
A little bit of a loaded state. It's not worth planting smaller trees. It's not for immediate impact, but like the longevity, like the forestation you do this. So maybe, but like it comes back to like Bill pointed out too, it's the deer get a lot more and so it's like, yeah, it sounds like we don't have to hit our. We were given the money, it's our money now, but we need to keep planting. But it's like, it's not like we're already, we're doing the best we can with it, and it's like, yeah,
The money is obligated,
right, it's all good.
but there's no obligation to the trees that.
Okay.
Could probably look into that, but.
Yeah.
But how could they obligate us?
They
to
can't
another
obligate us
tree
for
if
it.
it's the money?
Yeah,
We've never tried to rate that money and do something.
No,
There's
we haven't.
talk from Carl Jordan himself, I think. Open conversation with him. Have a conversation about understory plantings or addition to trees, but talked a little about that.
So we're the tree council, not the understory.
Native grass.
You'd expect that from an ecology guy like that. He wants everything, insects and everything.
so now that we have a new arborist, well, I guess we'll go in order, I'm sorry. So grants and fundraising. I had Mary Iowa in here, but I think Mary said you want to roll off that, is that right? And I rolled off as well, so all we have there now is the ex officio member, so we don't want to call on Stacy. But so I guess we may have to kind of do it all together a little bit, but, I guess the easy grant to apply for is the SNOVIS grant. I think, Stacy has, we've done that before, it's coming up next year. But one thing, I think Mary Songster and I were talking, and Lauren were talking about our policy meeting the other day, is we might want to, we're not really reaching out, that I'm aware of, reaching out to some local businesses to try to solicit donations. I think, Mary, you said you did that, we did that before and it didn't very productive. Or...
I think it's worth a shot every year, you know, and, you know, we had that, I have a letter, we had one, we tweaked a little bit for businesses that people could use. Got some donations from some first, you know, clients for my business, but,
I think it might be valuable to their chamber meeting.
yeah. And to be clear, I do feel like there's regular overlap with promotions, and so I don't mind serving in that capacity, but I would like to have crazy.
The least fun stuff, so I figure anything.
So I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes it's letters. Sweet. Yeah. Is there anybody that's not serving?
I don't have a lot of experience with grants.
Well, Stacy is sort of just
The guru.
feeds it to you.
And I do wonder if we're allowed to combine those. Of the 4 or 5 people to.
To see about combining promotions.
That was.
Promotions and grants fundraiser. So there's a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have somebody also feel that way about education. It's nice to have promotions. Education. Are you head of education?
I have stepped away from being the chair, but you know, I can serve in that role until we find someone, but we haven't had any meetings, just because I wasn't sure what was going on and
Yeah.
Anyway.
But like to maybe upgrade our education material. Seems to be.
Yeah, we talked about that in our last meeting. And yeah, the education committee felt like that might be better with promotions than us doing, but we would be willing to provide input if you gave us like a template.
Okay. Yeah, that's good.
to- because we
Get
want-
that ball rolling.
Thank you.
She will get you.
Get combined, she's actually on, she's already on.
She's on promotion.
Yes.
She got her stickers.
Yeah.
Graphic design.
And I think a lot of the information. And that, unfortunately, Tori was.
You and Jesse take it really short. It won't make it go. She's telling me each other. So it's like,
Like that. Yeah, yeah. Get your video updates.
She knew when I came on with that.
Was it?
I've seen her like that twice, man.
But that was business group. Chambers of whole-
Yes, the Athens Downtown Development Authority.
Yes.
And we hashed through that at our policy meeting. And came to the realization that I am wanting them to be something that they don't have any. I had to humbly step aside from I've been doggedly wanting them to participate in funding downtown trade. But and that's how I actually pivoted to the chamber, because I realized they're you know, it's a commissioner, a mayor, is the head of the downtown. But they are one reading their minutes, and I was reading their minutes, because it's a lot like our minutes. So they don't have money to do this. But the chamber is one of the people that's part of the Athens downtown. Chamber is at least a segue into other fun. I'm gonna stop pestering them.
And that's a
And
broader,
I'll leave you alone with that.
Lovely, you have that. They have sort of shifted focus from private business.
David, president. Every meeting.
That's possible. That may be our segue into other grants.
They do like breakfast, they do like an eggs and issues kind of thing, so if we were, if we can. Education. I got it.
Yeah. Let's see if there's other.
And I mean, also like Rotary. In my business.
Rotary Club donated like $30,000 to Clark Central.
Oh, wow. Like the Rotary or Rotary
We have
International?
two Rotaries.
I love the
Rotary
plan.
does the, Big Chestnut.
We don't need a cool one.
It's moving,
We don't need all these.
Big Chestnut Award, that's the cool one.
and they planted all
They
these.
did it, yeah. Oh, that's what they was.
Yeah, that one year they had tree planting as their project, and so we got.
So it's not the chamber, maybe Rotary.
Every year it's a
Rotary
different
would cost.
project, so.
There may be something in our bylaws that says we can't be.
I
There
don't
might be,
know,
yeah,
I think it's in the.
Serious, because they'll do it, we can join as individual, anybody. Yeah, it's business is like $300.
Up until recently.
I'm probably, I was gonna do it, but it off us. All right, well, that sounds all great ideas on the fundraising. Now to the fun part, Mateo, since you're here now, we've been waiting for you to come, but we're kicking back off our, champion tree hunt.
Sweet.
Yeah,
My favorite things.
we're gonna wait a little August, let's get kind of settled in and everything before we harass you about that. Yeah, we've, so it was a little was it last year or year before? We started with Rodney, our previous forester, and we got started going through some champion trees. And then when we lost Rodney, it got cold, and then we lost Rodney, we kind of put things on hiatus, but we're trying to update the database for our GIS database with all the champion trees on, and we've already went out and mapped out a third of them. Already missing, so you know, to come up. But that's something that we're kind of trying to get started on. We're like,
I have been having our intern, she's been checking on this, comparing data. See, make sure that
okay,
there's
she's doing that.
no-
Okay,
she's working on it.
awesome.
So we already.
Excellent. We'll have some more plenty of
The first stickler is that the location of, which most of which happen in shop. It's in state plan, and so I can't even ID trees after the leaves. I learned
There's just not hickories.
there's not just hickories. I was like, there's so many hickories, and you know them all.
Yeah.
But so the state line numbers, especially like some of them. But so I don't. State line numbers.
I haven't, but I know someone who
because they do give like a physical description, but there is some of it is like, it's behind the descriptions that are.
Run into that. I've got the old like 1983 Athens-Clarke County tree registry. And I've been going through trying to like see what is still alive. Not many, but a lot of it is weird descriptions and
Yeah.
trying to figure out where this or this and
I am happy, like, if y'all need tree ID. That's
I'll
the next
need her.
person. Yeah.
I've made mistakes.
Be happy to help.
We have been, we didn't settle down until like Friday afternoon. 6 or 7 trees, so we tried Patrick very generously wrote the numbers and we found some that were sort of in similar areas.
We're kind of cherry picking. that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we were like focusing, cause like, cause the first we started, we'd like, we just started just on whatever was signed, and it was like, you might have one east side, you might have one west side, and so it was kind of so then we were kind of just looked at the list and we wanted like, okay, we were focusing on stuff on the Bornell Forestry School and like the UGA Bot Gardens, because they were really like centralized and so you kind of get like 5 at one trip or something. They are definitely, so we will have to go back and kind of update everything. Assess that.
Nice with spring cutting. Because I've gotten trees totally wrong. Had Seth Hawkins come out. We thought it was like national champion water oak. No, it's a willow oak.
Well, the only wonder is like we did it when it was not quite summertime, but it's like, so we still had good, we didn't have a whole lot of canopy cut. It was spring, so we still had like our, because it was basically we were using our phones, because we got the ArcGIS phone app tracker. So we're using our phone to actually log them, but then like once it got closer and the teams started getting things, we weren't getting very good accuracy on the GPS phone read units. I think you guys, you guys have actual handheld GPS or something you use?
It's the, just got me.
The chronometer.
And I donated money, I think Randy was able to purchase last year, but I got around to it before.
Go tools.
There's a
Okay,
phenomenal-
is there one in there?
Yeah,
Okay.
not the super fancy one, but.
No, he's got fancy.
Okay.
Or wait a minute, I've got that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was saying, pencil method, and he was out, this game club.
But it doesn't even like plug into my computer. It's just a paperweight right now. It's very expensive.
Well, we're looking forward to that. So we kind of went over promotions. Mary, I'll let you talk, but we went over we talked about green lights already. We kind of recapped on Arbor Day, but is there anything?
No, no. Don't have anything. I think it's time for us to meet and just running the list. Things that I'm thinking that I would like to pursue. Posts. Sorry for the- Yeah. So we really just need.
Sort of. Maybe we have an idea, but it requires funding or money. Tree group, would be nice if we could give those homeowners plaque or tree tag with Bible and something. Finger that. Really fantastic group that we're reviving.
Yeah, I think for fundraising, like it's like we could actually have like something we're raising funds for, like a project or something that we want to do a planting at the new Classic Center or something. Courthouse. And it'd be cool to actually have a target or something.
Well, that's always been the question, is making sure we'll always need money. Where are we spending? Got places to plant the trees, and are we getting the cart before the horse? So it's nice to approach that, and I found that to be an obstacle when I was writing the letter. Like, this is what we've done. Which is actually and I've worked the carbon footprint kind of slant on that a little bit for companies. The TSAV in particular, I should probably they do so much travel. It's always yeah.
I didn't know if this would be part of promotions, but I was in Chattanooga at the aquarium this weekend. And they've got really cool tags for the trees with a QR code, but they're all presented by the Nature Conservancy. I don't know if that's a nonprofit or.
I donated.
Okay. I wonder if maybe they'd be interested in. I wonder if they're paid to do that or.
Nature Conservancy's gotten really involved in systems. So I think, but I don't know what's available, but they actually hire people. So.
Which I think there's a lot of really active tree council up there. There's involved in it, so they have all sorts of work up there.
The aquarium was gorgeous. I remember it, 20 years ago, and it was just pretty.
The whole city has done a facelift competitive.
Stacy, last talking about road. They're active urban forest program, planting little trees and broad ranging conversation, but we do need to figure out some ways that we can get on the public property and private property some perks that we can acknowledge these people get ourselves.
Not a bad idea to call some of these organizations in other cities.
And so seems like the Nature Conservancy is ready for. They may have a program.
Or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I was given that grant,
Yeah,
and we didn't really hear back. Sierra Club.
Sierra Club, I wonder,
Yeah.
and I don't know if they're doing it.
So I guess now, Mary, want to talk about the policy updates?
So we just have been continuing to try to structure the language. What we wanted to develop was a concept of a fee in lieu, new developments and redevelopments. So we've been focused on the downtown development area since The downtown development hardly ever and won't be moving forward be able to meet the tree requirement. They just get a waiver. So I can't reach out to the New York. And so in structuring that, what we've really come up with is a letter, which we're not going to try to lead with setting up a more formal tree trust fund. So in the past, we haven't been able to sort of use that language, but now things have changed, especially like that's no longer terrifying ones too. So we're going to lead with setting a trust fund, and there have been some funds that have been set aside recently for some hazard mitigation in lower companies and for some maintenance in the general fund that have never been. They aren't. It's not a tree fund. So we're going to say tree fund, and we're going to fund that with fee in lieu, and basically usury fees. So that if you build in the downtown development, you can't kind of requirement put in some kind of equitable. So we're not going to try to get into the weeds, make recommendations on how do you value that size and the only other part of it, if we're still playing with the main ditch, is talking about recommendations, like giving like carrots for conserved size. But we've struggled wrapping our head around it because we're not sure it makes a difference as far as the health of the parent. You know, people, it's more of an awareness thing. It's just a bunch of hot mess right now. Those are the things we're going to talk about for this year's letter. Recommendations. There's no
Streets are starting to bald. There's like no trees in this. It seems like near where I live. Supposed to leave. So that you wouldn't see the colors. It's cleared off. Put like 2 or 3 trees on there, and you can't even. It just looks basic now, and it's like, how do you keep from looking just like a drive-through, strip mall? That just seems like the personality is just
there's, I can't give you exact locations or tell you where these properties are, but there are several locations. That was one that was grandfathered. That's been under several years. So it actually fell under the old any requirements. They didn't have to meet.
Even then, I don't believe there's any requirements for conservation of forest along the street.
There isn't a simple, like straightforward one rule that we're able to maximize trees or plantings saved on site. We do have requirements, and any amount of development is like horrifyingly disastrous at first, and so some of it should. Typical conserve requirement is 10%, and is that right? Is that right?
Probably good business.
But it's that's very, like, when I say that, it's not unique. So something like development, like Publix and shopping mall, they go through a separate process that physically allows them to get permission to do whatever they're going to do from planning there. So part of what policy's been doing the last couple of years, and I'm going to say with no real movement forward, is raising the awareness of the mayor and commission and public works and everybody of how we work together, the impact can be different. But
there's not a whole lot of great measures to really build a building in a forest without cutting down the forest. It's just, unfortunately, that's the nature of development. It's just like the more we can start where we can reforest or definitely want to preserve it, but a lot of times the conservation standards, there are minimum conservation standards in the county. But a lot of times, a lot of the sites, especially the bigger sites that have a decent amount that would be conserved, there's usually a stream on the site, And that has a state buffer and a county buffer, so that's usually the first area that's preserved. So a lot of times your stream buffers get preserved, and then that hits your quantity of your preserved, and then you develop the rest of the site. But it's just really, I mean, I love trying to save trees when I do site plans and stuff, but it's just so hard between all the requirements, the tree save requirements, erosion control requirements, stormwater requirements, parking requirements, and minimum floor area ratio requirements. It's just so hard to really, it's easy to say, let's just save this, but in the generality, it's so regulated, it's really difficult to actually get out there and say.
Well, there is a balance. So the edge trees, we're hoping to provide, all of this environment. It's not forest wide. So we need to balance the built environment. And the trees on the edge, currently how it's written, there's no advantage for the developer to save those trees. They don't get credit for the build. They would potentially not be able to build all that they could build. Investment that they could. And you actually need space to build the thing you're going to build. So without, because I often approach projects for the edge trees to have it be a softening factor for that's why we structured this in talking about being because right now, when you can't meet the requirement, you get a waiver. So nothing happens. So this doesn't move us in a direction where for developments we would be able to save trees on site, but it would give us money to continue as the bulk is moving to plant and strengthen and maintain trees that aren't being developed. It's a moving target, sure.
So to, since a tree on the edge, so the Athens code is zoning based. Your zoning of the parcel that's being developed, the adjacent zoning around it and sharing property lines, there's sort of infinite amount of different kinds of requirements. So like if it's street frontage, the county has certain things they want to see in terms of street trees. If it's commercial adjacent to residential, there's a pretty strict evergreen screening buffer that is required. It's two commercials. It's typically a pretty lenient, it could be a hedge that's required. So opportunities there. And I like what you're saying about the conserved canopy. So there's two requirements. You can break it down into existing conserved canopy, so that's a percentage. And then there's also, once you've got this parking lot in this building, what are you going to plop in? How many square feet of or acreage of canopy is going to be put back in? So there's two levels that have to be met. So it may be 10%, maybe 15 or 20% that's required to be saved. Kind of fill in the rest and maybe try and get up to, on average, about 45%, which is pretty typical in the city. But I like what you're saying about this. Like what Patrick was saying, you've got to put several kinds of utilities. They've got how many parking spaces. Like you've got a department store, you've got to park 600 people there. So there's paving requirements that takes up real estate. So, by the time you've got utility, your payment for the building, kind of the joke about the folks that do plans is that you're looking for little slivers somewhere on this site where you can actually plant a tree. There's not a lot of opportunities because there's buffers on utilities. You can't put a tree right on top of the sewer line. So it's kind of
stormwater.
There's stormwater.
So there is another way to think about zoning, which we were working on the other arborists. There's we do this zoning that has these requirements. They're pretty old overlays. It takes a long time to change those rules. There's another way to think about it called form-based zoning. it's harder to govern that way. Because you're pretty much, it's a case by case basis. And so in our time on policy, we've been encouraging sort of more form based where it is a case by case. And our community has special, I guess, we've got sort of the trees on the village, and we've got downtown trees, and so that have a particular kind of, so we have these pockets of public trees where community tree council, like really has to say, that are slightly unique. So I'm trying to point out to the government that they might need to be looked at differently. They're not like the trees going out there on the highway. It's a different category. Those are more form-based ideas where we look at each place and based on what's there, how do we want that to grow and what are the rules that govern that? And so I would say planning is heading in that direction. I don't know how long it will take them to get there, but that's the direction a lot of communities are going.
Slap that shit.
Yeah.
And that kind of informs too the future zoning maps. So this area is growing in this direction, so that should be zoned this density. Really, you really are struggling to meet that search. It's pretty hard. We can encourage people to go.
And we thought about like a percentage base, like if you went for to get a waiver and 50% of the requirement. And so then you met 50% of the requirement and you paid this much into a tree fund. 100% would be the most of the fee, and if you can meet, 80% of it, then that's the least amount. But there still was money involved to help for maintenance of the other trees in the community. That's pretty cool.
If they make it hurt, they are prioritizing.
I don't think there's a amount of training. It's the kind of money that comes and develops. It's just a number on a piece of paper that they start with in the beginning. Like, they really don't care what it is. It's more about telling our government that we're allowed to ask for this fee. This fee is the cost of doing business in Athens-Clarke. They don't get paid.
Yeah, I think the slippery slope there is somebody with the deepest pockets that comes in and says, "Oh, this is pay up."
But
But then those funds go into care.
But right now, right now that happens without any funds. So right now, the deepest pockets, and what they do as a compensation for community is build leverage parking. So they build parking deck instead of taking out the flat surface, and that's $40,000 a space for the parking deck. It's not cheap parking, but so I think that the sneakiness, I think because I am a very tiny, small-time developer, people always say people are sneaky, but they're looking at the rules and they're gonna follow the rules. That first plan we got for the mall, they were following all the rules. Now, I felt like it was the rules from 1986, but then we asked for them to do something different, and they came back with something much better and much different than what they originally submitted.
It sounds like it's gonna be real nice.
I really thank them for their consideration of the planting, because planning looked like exactly what we asked. A lollipop line in the parking lot, edge lawn, and they changed all that. It's not great, it's not perfect, it can be better, but it's way better than what their initial thing was. So I feel like those kind of things is clarifying the rules, and that if people are going to come, the investment will happen. If the rules are clear, then that's it.
So if they come back and say, well, change the rule because, I probably.
So the city would love us to say, and so parking minimums also, I feel like it's from 1986. So the idea that the car centric thing, that's another kind of battle for the built environment, because outside, especially since Saturdays here, and so they're not allowed, like they don't get to ask for those things. Like the rules are laid out, like the different departments have the rules, but really most of it goes through planning. So we do development, And so once they've set in motion the process, they're pretty much required to build what has been agreed to. Some builds have, when you build a historic district, you have like that's it's good for a year and then you have to ask again, start. But once you start building, whatever they've signed off in the beginning is pretty much what you build. Sometimes people do go back and ask for, you have to ask for a variance or you have to change, but not that often. So it's in the beginning when we get them that they have to read everything in the beginning. That's when. Yeah. There's way more about this.
Yeah. Let's do this. A lot of vacant sites.
We're all gonna get more difficult.
Ever, exactly. Right now, you're not, no one's getting the empty.
Well, I, development and erroneous charts, and we've lost so many businesses out there, and so two out there, it's kind of like we want to keep our tax dollars.
They're having massive infrastructure. They're like,
So,
yeah. They, but we will still develop, and it'll be shocking how much like we develop. So she wanted all. So while we're short, sure that some, I would love to see contiguous, the things are contiguous. So I've said before, like the varsity redevelopment. Everybody is very emotional about them. And personally for me, I want them to scooch that development, whatever it is, as close to broad and low as possible. I want them to buffer the back where the neighborhood starts. I'd be much more interested in the commercial corridor, commercial and better buffer trashes. That will be a long-term buffer. Something I really liked about the mall redevelopment is a nice buffer against where the neighborhoods are, and a nice buffer up against. So. Answer your question.
redevelopment at Beechwood's been nice.
Yeah.
We've had a lot more.
So Holly, I guess you have some updates on education training?
Sure, yeah, so I'm the president of the Georgia Tree Council this year, and I'm very focused on like kind of putting my, so I didn't really feel like I could give the, as far as being a chair. I definitely still want to be on the education committee. So we are looking for a new chair, someone to lead that. The other thing is that our Ollie class, even though Ollie came back, Osher Lifelong Learning Institute, they, after the fall event, said, hey, we want you to do something spring. And so I proposed it, basically the same thing, but winter trade. I was going to do an online class, and then we follow it up with a guided walk, which people seem to really like, but they only had like 3 people sign up, so it didn't meet the minimum for their minimum, and so they were like, it's a class. So far, we don't really set up events, and I think it would be nice to regroup with council and see what kind of events we want to do the coming year. Their forest bathing event. So,
What month was it when we did our Sandy Creek spa, right?
I think it was called the Meantime. Yeah, it was George Floyd Day weekend.
yeah.
The Ollie event that was last year, I wouldn't want, personally, wouldn't want to just walk away from that because I think that was very successful. I think maybe that every year might be involved because the people that are in Ollie, that then maybe it's just be a small segment of folks in Hollywood. That type of thing, and it's too soon to.
And also, it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
We only offer it to people who are Ollie members, and so having something like the Sandy Creek event again, or somewhere, even somewhere else could be.
It'd be nice even like late spring too, just when the leaves are full out. But
It's not like, let's see, like the Marigold Festival, you know, if we had like a table like that on a festival. Fall festival.
Maybe
May
something.
15th through 10th.
Kind of goes back to what we were, so, I was kind of bringing up this earlier, but I was like, going back with what Ollie was saying. I think it would be a good idea to come up with some of, like, we're a third of the way through the month year already, but come up with some of our goals and things we'd like to accomplish for like the rest of the year this year. I know we're running out really quickly, but really brief, but the one thing it would be, we talked about, it would be potentially helpful to maybe combine some of the committees, but I think we have almost as many committees now as we have, it seems like. So it would be helpful to kind of combine it so we could, obviously we don't want to all have 15 people at one time, but it might be easier to kind of collaborate a little bit, combine it. We mentioned it the last meeting, but we are going to try to, Mary's working on it with the, one of the ACC transportation. We'd like to try to do a planting for like a bus stop promotional planting for like Thanksgiving, Christmas time of the year when it's planting season again. That's one thing what we're trying to plan for this year, but
Stacy's got a program through Keep Out Stock and Rachel Hopkins. So I need to figure out like who would be the spot, like who is the official person for that.
so maybe I'll make a personal assignment that everybody could come up with like one goal that they would like to like accomplish as the tree council this year. We can talk about it in the next meeting. That would be helpful for us to all kind of just all kind of see where we are, like on what we'd like to do. Just as simple as like Thanksgiving plan. As simple as we want to get the forest bathing set up in November or something. You know, we just want to we could try to figure out our direction as the tree council for the rest of the year. It'd be really helpful to kind of prepare each for the months moving forward. I know in April we'll have we have the Green Light Boards coming, so I'll remind everybody about that next month. But yeah, otherwise, this year will be over before we know it. So just gotta prepare for it.
I know I'd like to some promotion materials ready for that.
Hopefully, Green Light. Help anything or?
Well, who has all of those from?
I'll just put it back over there.
I hate to have, did you bring is that the tablecloth back there too?
Yes.
I don't want to have to have that done.
I can't believe I'll try that. Education meeting.
Well, unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to share today or anything to bring up.
Do you have one question? And if I missed it, please correct me. Did we accept the treasurer's? And that point in time, we did not have where we do that.
Yeah, so, okay, all accepted, all in favor of accepting what's the term, how do we accept it again? What's the?
Motion to accept.
A motion to accept,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
There
yeah.
you go. All right, so, all in favor, aye. A motion to end the meeting. All in favor? It's been a pleasure, everybody.
Who is the